Once again, good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. As always, I am Zach Payne, the corruption detector, and this is another edition of Red Pill News. Apparently, there was some confusion on behalf of at least one person yesterday when I asked other people not to upload my videos to their YouTube channels. Let me just explain why that is. It's because it's already difficult enough for people to find me ever since I was deleted on YouTube and Twitter. What I want is for people to find my work on my channels, which are unfortunately scattered to the wind. I'm on Twitch, DLive, Pill.net, Pure Social, Rumble, BitChute, Odyssey, and Library. So it's very important that people come to where I'm at so that they can watch my videos. This is why I don't want my videos uploaded on other people's channels. Let's just say you wanted to start a hotel and you decided that you were going to call it the Trump Hotel. Well, you're not a Trump, and it's not a Trump hotel. You are stealing the name of our president, and you're hoping to make money off of it or gain notoriety. In the same way that it's not cool to upload my videos to your channel, because then people will think that you are my channel. In fact, the channels that I found actually were using my name and my logo. It means that people are not going to find my videos where I post them. I feel like this is a pretty elementary thing. And for anybody who didn't understand it, I'm sorry I had to explain it to you. But here's what I would like you to do. Please share the links to my videos, or better yet, share the link to my website, redpill78news.com. That way people can find my stuff. Now, I'm not saying don't share the links to my videos on your social media. Of course I want you to do that. But I don't want you to rip my video and upload it to your channel, because then people won't come to my channel to watch it. What I'm trying to do is gather all of my subscribers back together and have them coalesce in a single place, which is my website, where you can watch all of my stuff. I would never steal somebody else's video and upload it to my channel. It just is dishonest, and it's intellectual property theft. So please, if you want to share access to my videos, then share the links. Share the websites. Well, it looks like I spent the whole introduction talking about that. Meet me on the other side of the break and we will talk about the news. No matter where it is that you live, most likely you're facing some real challenges right now. There's a lot of unrest and uncertainty, and in some spots it's not even safe to go to the corner store. And that makes getting food a problem. If things don't get better, are you going to have enough food to eat in the weeks and months ahead? Well, the fact is, many people won't. But those who act now and get at least a 4-week supply of emergency food shipped to them quickly will be the ones who survive. That's why I strongly recommend My Patriot Supply. It's the only source I personally use and trust for my own emergency food preparedness plan. You should do the same. They're the go-to experts in emergency preparedness, and their mission is your survival. Right now, you can save $100 on a full 4-week supply of their tasty meals that supply 2,000 calories a day. This will save your life if food disappears from the grocery store shelves again. And saving $100 is impossible to pass up. You can go right now to preparewithredpill78.com and get ready. Once again, that's preparewithredpill78.com. Do it today. And remember, when you support my sponsors, you support this channel. All right, guys, thanks for sticking around. First of all, today we've got a lot of different things to talk about. Sidney Powell at the press conference earlier today confirmed that those servers, the Dominion or Seidel servers, were seized in Germany. However, we don't quite know exactly who took them. Now, she also suggested that other Dominion employees come forward and admit the fraud that they took part in. Donald Trump has also retweeted the interview that CodeMonkeyZ did with Chanel Rion on OWN, so I think that that means that he is paying attention at the highest level. Rudy Giuliani gave a preview of the information that was in the press conference earlier today. We definitely have a path to victory still. Also, it looks like GOP leaders are in fact calling for an investigation into the corrupted 2020 election. And Russ Ramsland, he is the election security expert I've been talking about this week. He has filed an affidavit showing that physical impossibility in regards to the votes in Michigan that we spoke about yesterday. Also, FBI agents in Cincinnati have arrested a Cincinnati politician, a Democratic city councilman. We're going to talk about Fox News and their plummeting ratings thanks to their turnaround on the president. Also in Wayne County, Michigan, those 2 Republican Board of Canvassers members who were forced to vote for the certification of the vote in the Wayne County election have reversed, and they've actually filed an affidavit talking about how they were coerced into doing what they did. And finally, in the press conference earlier today with Rudy and Sydney and Jenna, Rudy Giuliani revealed that 60,000 ballots in Milwaukee County and approximately 40,000 ballots in Dane County should be tossed out. I think that's going to flip the results of the election, and that is just one of many paths to victory. All right, guys, let's get going. All right, so after much speculation, today in that press conference, Sidney Powell has confirmed that the alleged Dominion servers in Germany were, in fact, confiscated. Now, last week, remember, Representative Louis Gohmert told Chris Salcido on Newsmax that people on the ground in Germany had reported that Seidel, which hosted the election data improperly through Spain, was raided by a large U.S. Army force and their servers were seized in Frankfurt. Well, that video went viral. We talked about it here on this channel on several different episodes. And up until today, the entire story was essentially rumor and innuendo. We had no evidence to show that there were necessarily any servers that were raided. Now, we did learn, and we presented it earlier on Occam's Razor, that the clowns in America just happened to have a hacking base there in Frankfurt, Germany. Now, if you'll remember the other day when I initially covered this story, Larry Johnson, a former U.S. official, said that his source told him it was a U.S. military raid on what was most likely a U.S. government site, because that's the only way that the U.S. military could come in on their own and raid anything. It would have to be something that was owned and operated by at least a portion of the U.S. government. If it was a private company that was based in another country, then it would have to be led by the military or the law enforcement of that country. Now, this next portion right here is from a news source in Germany who apparently has information about the raid itself. He said that the U.S. government, once they determined that this Dominion server was involved in switching votes, then the intelligence community began a search for the server and discovered that it was in Germany. Now, in order to get access to that server and have it available for use in a legal manner, they had to have the State Department work in tandem with the Department of Justice. They had to request that the government of Germany cooperate in allowing the seizure of this server. Apparently, the appropriate documents required to effect that kind of seizure were put in place, signed off on, and it appears that there was also U.S. military support in this operation. Now, the U.S. military was not in the lead, but this helps explain why Esper was fired and Ezra Miller and Kash Patel were put in place, so that the military would not interfere with the operation in any way. By getting a hold of the server, they are now going to have the direct evidence of when they were instructed to stop counting. They will also discover who gave the direction to stop counting and who initiated the algorithm that started switching votes. And apparently, the CIA was completely excluded from this operation. That would be the operation to seize the server. And that would make a lot of sense if the server itself was seized from a CIA hacking facility in Frankfurt, Germany. Again, Frankfurt, Germany is apparently where this Dominion or Seidel server was taken from. Now, it would also make sense if the CIA was directly involved in the work that was being done at either Seidel or Dominion. And from everything we've seen in terms of what the CIA likes to do in South American countries, such as keeping dictators in place or making sure that people who are leading countries are friendly to whatever they want to do, be it drug trafficking or other nefarious stuff, either way, it looks to me like the CIA was somehow involved in the switching of the votes. We've also had several statements coming from Sidney Powell where she suggests that the CIA was directly involved. Now, whether or not it's because of this raid here or it's because she got some other information in another way, I don't know. But it looks to me like the clowns in America have something to do with this. Now, during that press conference today, Sidney Powell said that she didn't know if the good guys or the bad guys were actually the ones to have gotten the server. I'm sure that all of us are hoping that it was the good guys and not the bad guys. But I tend to lean more towards the idea that it was the good guys, if the clowns in America were excluded from the operation. Also, the fact that Mark Esper was fired, the fact that Ezra Miller and Kash Patel were installed, and with that very interesting change-up in reporting that was done just yesterday by the new acting Secretary of Defense, which makes the Special Operations Forces report directly to him and not have to go through the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Now, during that press conference earlier today, Sidney Powell weighed in on that Dominion Smartmatic servers that were apparently confiscated in Germany. Reporter Emerald Robinson asked, "There were reports that a piece of hardware, possibly a server, was picked up in Germany. Is that true? And is it related to this?" And then Sidney said, "That is true. It is somehow related related to this, but I do not know if good guys got it or bad guys got it. Now, what's important here is that this confirms the story that we've been tracking for about the last week or so. If it was seized by good guys, the information would most likely not be directly known to Sidney Powell. So all she can say is that she knows there was a server that was seized. I think that when you put this together, the CIA base, the hacking base in Frankfurt, Germany, the fact that this server was taken from Germany, the fact that the U.S. military was involved, and the fact that it was led, apparently, by that last source, by military or law enforcement in Germany itself, it could either go a couple of different ways. It could be a CIA hacking base with a server taken from there, or it could perhaps be a hacking base that was based out of Frankfurt, Germany, and the CIA was involved. The very fact that the CIA was cut out of the operation leads me to believe that whoever got this server knows that they cannot trust the clowns in America. All right, this is a sample of a section from the website of Seidel.com, and it just shows that they are contracted with the Department of Defense. And it actually goes through and shows a number of other countries and areas where they are also contracted to do business. Now, they originally came on, I guess, in 2010, and they've been awarded 9 of the 20 states who have agreed to participate in this program. Those are New York, Washington, Missouri, Nebraska, Kansas, New Mexico, South Carolina, Mississippi, and Indiana. They are apparently the #1 provider of this service here in the United States. But it just goes to show how important it is that we have a Secretary of Defense, someone overseeing the Department of Defense, that is loyal to President Trump, and even more so, loyal to the Constitution of the United States. If Seidel is doing business with the Department of Defense, and there is something nefarious going on, then we definitely need to have somebody there who is going to be on our side and who's going to be looking to make sure that our elections are free and fair and that no one in the United States is disenfranchised by having their votes switched, by having their votes deleted, or any other method of disenfranchisement. Now, something else that came out of that press conference today, we have had reports that many ballots for Biden appear to have the bubble circles filled in perfectly, which can only happen if the ballots themselves are printed. Robert Barnes was talking about it. Lynn Wood was speaking about it. One thing that's very interesting is that it was reported on the day of the election that some of the vote counting machines in Wisconsin actually ran out of ink. Why would they run out of ink? Well, if they were printing a lot of ballots for Joe Biden, then that would certainly make sense. Now, bring your eyes down here from the Dominion website. It is not just a tabulation process. They actually have a ballot marking device which is built into the machines. They say that the market's only all-in-one precinct-based optical scan tabulator featuring a fully integrated ballot marking device. Sidney Powell mentioned in the press conference these ballots could only have been produced if they were printed off a computer. I believe there was also reports of them being a little bit off-center. They weren't printed perfectly, almost as if they were running so many of them and the scan or the image of the ballot wasn't printed directly on it. Not to mention the fact that many ballots were apparently completely crisp. They were not folded, which means that they never even went inside of a ballot envelope. So just some more interesting information to show that, yes, in fact, there was massive fraud. Now, another thing that caught my ear was that Rudy Giuliani mentioned an affidavit from a Dominion Systems whistleblower who was actually there to witness the vans driving in that were supposed to have food that only seemed to bring out boxes. And directly after that, there were suddenly hundreds of thousands of ballots for Joe Biden that just came into the mix. Now, I have confirmed he was speaking about Melissa Carone, the woman that I interviewed on my channel just last week. If you guys want to watch that interview, if you're one of the people who haven't seen it yet, I'm going to include the link to it in the description of this video. But in addition to that, Sidney Powell made a plea to current or former Dominion Systems employees to step forward so that they too can speak out on the fraud that they witnessed. This was such an incredible press conference, guys, and if you've got the time, I highly suggest going back and watching it. It's about an hour and a half. Now, Rudy Giuliani appeared on Greg Kelly's program last night, and he stated that there are many paths to victory. And from that press conference today, I think that anybody watching objectively can see that. It's fairly obvious. Now, he said if we're to win Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, that would be the end of the election. Michigan has already indicated they're not going to certify. Wisconsin has a very strict procedure of their own, but we're quite confident we can knock out about 60,000 ballots as illegal, and Wisconsin is only a 10,000 margin. And Pennsylvania, we argued it yesterday. And remember, we're probably going to lose a few of these, and we'll have to take them to the Supreme Court. Now, President Trump is well aware of the fraud that's going on. Earlier, he retweeted the interview Chanel Rion did with Ron Codemonkey Z, which lays out the type of ways that they can commit fraud using the software from Smartmatic and the voting machines from Dominion. With President Trump paying attention to this, I don't think anything is going to get by him, guys. And I just wanted to point that out because I wanted to make sure that everybody that's watching is not nervous about what's going to happen. I know that some people are truthfully worried that Joe Biden is going to be president, but I can tell you with very great conviction, Joe Biden is never going to be certified president. President Trump knows about all of the fraud. He has his top people, Sidney Powell, Rudy Giuliani, Joe DeGenevo was there today. Believe me, the best lawyers in the country are working on this. They are bringing it all together. And whether it's done at the local, the state, the Supreme Court level, either way, in these court cases, in the end, we are going to be victorious. Now, Rudy mentions those Michigan electors who are refusing to certify the vote there in Wayne County. Let's talk about them. All right, so there was some major drama over the last couple of days with the Wayne County Republican canvassers. First, they refused to certify the results in Wayne County because of all of the irregularities. You had too many people voting. You had too many signatures that weren't verified. You had too many people who came in to vote, and then they found out that somebody else had already voted in their name. Well, initially, they were not going to certify the results, and then they were bullied on a public Zoom call for about 2 hours. They were called racists. Some of their kids were doxxed, and their schools were revealed. So in the wake of that, they agreed to certify the vote as long as there would be a stipulation that the vote would be audited. Well, the Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, refused to actually honor that audit. So they have rescinded that certification, and they have also written up affidavits showing who threatened them and exactly what happened to them to make them certify that vote in the first place. Now, these two Wayne County Board of Canvassers are Monica Palmer and William Hartman. They've both rescinded those votes to certify the election, claiming that they were bullied into siding with the Democrats. Now, according to the affidavit, Palmer and Hartman had refused to certify that vote in election's most populous county because they felt there were too many irregularities. Now, both Republicans say they were called racists and subjected to threats for raising concerns about the ballots that Democrats said were from predominantly black communities. Palmer said in her affidavit that she faced accusations of racism and threats to her family. She says, after the vote, my Democrat colleagues chided me and Mr. Hartman for not voting to certify. After the vote, the public comment period began and dozens of people made personal remarks against me and Mr. Hartman. The comments made accusations of racism and threatened me and members of my family. The public comment continued for over 2 hours, and I felt pressured to continue the meeting without a break. She says, I sat there for 2 hours listening to people attack me. The Democrats were too busy trying to belittle me. And then after that pressure campaign, they said they would vote to certify the election under the agreement that Jocelyn Benson, the Secretary of State in Michigan, would run an audit on the votes. But then later that evening, she was sent statements that Jocelyn Benson made saying that she did not view our audit resolution to be binding. Her comments disputed the representations made by the vice chair on which I relied. As a result of these facts, I rescind my prior vote to certify Wayne County elections. I fully believe Wayne County votes should not be certified. Now, Hartman's statement mirrored hers. He said, I voted not to certify, and I still believe this vote should not be certified. Until these questions are addressed, I remain opposed to certification of the Wayne County results. Now, President Trump also tweeted out in support of them. He said, the numbers have not improved. It is still 71% out of balance. There is widespread irregularities in poll numbers. There are more votes than people. The two harassed Patriot canvassers refused to sign the papers. This is excellent news for the state of Michigan because without the votes from Wayne County, Joe Biden doesn't win. They can't certify the election for Joe Biden, and it's going to make it so that we must have some type of an audit or at least an accounting of how so many people could vote. How is it possible you can have more people in a county than reside there actually vote? Well, it means that either you got dead people voting or you've got people coming in from out of the area to vote, or you've got people just simply making up ballots. And any of those things are enough to disenfranchise any of the people who live in Wayne County. These two canvassers right here are doing more to protect the rights of black voters in Wayne County than any of these Democrats combined. The Democrats have absolutely zero care about making sure that the people of Wayne County each get a vote. All they care about is that Donald Trump is not the president. Now, the results of the election have not been lost on members of Congress as well. We've got GOP lawmakers calling for an immediate congressional investigation into this election. That would be Representative Jim Jordan of Ohio and Representative James Comer of Kentucky. On Wednesday night, they called for this immediate congressional investigation. Now, Jim is the ranking member on the House Judiciary Committee, and James is the ranking member on the Committee of Oversight and Reform. They have called on Democrat leaders to investigate the controversial and highly contested 2020 election. And they're asking for hearings on the elections as soon as possible. Russ Ramsland has filed an affidavit of his own showing the physical impossibility of the election results in Michigan. Remember, Russ's company is Allied Security Systems, and he is doing everything he can to show that election fraud took place. We have the actual affidavit right here, but we're going to read through some of the highlights. He says, "My colleagues and I have studied the November 3rd, 2020 election results. Based on the significant anomalies and red flags that we've observed, we believe there is a significant probability that election results have been manipulated. Specifically, there are a stunning 3,276 precincts where the presidential votes cast compared to the estimated voters based on reported statistics ranges from 84% to 350%. That reveals an excess of 431,954 excess ballots. This pattern strongly suggests that the additive algorithm was added. Until the tabulated voter turnout reached approximately 83%, Trump was generally winning between 55 and 60% of every turnout point. Then, after the counting was closed at 2 a.m., the situation dramatically reversed itself, starting with a series of impossible spikes. The final red flag is perhaps the greatest. In the data are 4 spikes totaling 384,733 ballots, allegedly processed in a combined interval of only 2 hours and 38 minutes. This is physically impossible given the available equipment at the 4 reference locations. Wayne County uses Dominion equipment, where 46 out of 47 precincts or townships displayed a highly unlikely 96% turnout as the number of votes cast, using the Secretary of State's numbers of voters in the precinct or township. And 25 of those 7 precincts or townships show a 100% turnout. This pattern strongly suggests both the additive algorithm, a feature enhancement referred to as Ranking Choice Voting Algorithm, or RCV, was activated in the code, as well as batch processing of blank votes, where 74,119 more ballots were cast than the capacity. The additive algorithm, as shown in the Democracy Suite EMS Results Tally and Reporting User Guide, Chapter 11, Settings 11.2.2, reads in part, RCV method. This will select the specific method of tabulating RCV votes to elect a winner. Now, Mr. Ramsland has warned us on multiple occasions about the voting machines before the election, but now with this information he's put forward, he shows exactly how many votes there are that are over the limit. He also shows us how many precincts where we've got more people voting as a percentage than should actually be there, and he even tells us, based upon the equipment itself, the method by which they could inject these additional votes into the tallies. This is extremely compelling. Thank you very much, Russ. I think that this article right here is a great way for people to red pill people and show them, hey, it's just not possible. All right, now there has been a lot of activity in Ohio recently, specifically in Cincinnati. And today, it was no different. FBI agents arrested a Cincinnati Democrat for accepting bribes in exchange for votes. Now, FBI agents today arrested Cincinnati Democrat City Councilman P.G. Sittenfeld for accepting bribes in exchange for votes, and they held a press conference today to talk about it a little bit. Now, these charges against Sittenfeld were revealed in a 20-page indictment, and they allege he schemed to funnel money from developers into a political action committee that he secretly controlled. Now, the developers were really undercover FBI agents who handed a total of $40,000 in Sittenfeld checks on 3 different occasions, according to the indictment. Sittenfeld, who could not be immediately reached for comment, is running to be Cincinnati's mayor and considered by some as the frontrunner with thousands of dollars raised for his campaign. Now we know how. He is now the third Cincinnati City Council member to be arrested on corruption charges this year and the second in the past week alone. Federal authorities recently revealed in court records they were investigating corruption and bribery related to votes and development projects and said more prosecutions were coming. This is great news for the people of Ohio. This is great news for people tracking public corruption everywhere, and it should be a message to corrupt public officials that if you want to try to buy your way into office, the FBI is now paying attention. All right, and finally, in the live-action Hindenburg-like crash of Fox News and their ratings, they have lost to MSNBC in the daytime for the first time since 2001. Hundreds of thousands of Trump supporters rallied last Saturday in the nation's capital to support President Trump. Now, during that rally, many of those Trump supporters were chanting, "Fox News sucks. Fox News sucks." This was a direct rip against the anti-Trump channel that still refuses to report on the truth of the 2020 election. Shame on Fox. Viewers have turned on Fox News because they turned on them, and now it's playing out in the ratings. This is the very first time since 2001 that Fox News has not beat MSDNC in the daytime ratings. This is a major, major downturn for them. MSNBC touted their dayside shows in a release that said it had won more viewers Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. It also touted that Morning Joe with Crazy Joe Scarborough had averaged 1.62 million viewers for the week, and Fox News had only received 1.38 million viewers for that week for the same time period. This is a major, major lesson for Fox News, and they need to learn it. They need to understand that if they're not going to report accurately, then the viewers are simply not going to turn in. I want to say thank you to anybody who has been watching my show, who has trusted me to bring you accurate information, because we know we're not going to get it from Fox anymore. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. Make sure you tune in this weekend for Friday and Saturday night live stream and Comfy Sunday at 7 p.m. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am Zach Payne, the corruption detector, and this was another edition of Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless. Hey guys, just one more thing before you go. I need to make a new outro because it's no longer relevant because I'm no longer on YouTube. I just want to remind everybody, go to the description of every single video. You can find links to support me, to support the channel. Also, you can find other links for places where I post my videos online, a variety of social media platforms. Clearly, you can follow me on Twitter, you can email me, you can get a hold of me in a whole bunch of different ways. But most of all, thank you so much for following me to these new platforms. We need to completely destroy and replace the current social media empire. These tech giants have too much power, and the best way we can do that is with our wallets and our signatures. Sign up at these other social media platforms, but most of all, my videos will be daily on CloutHub and Rumble. Talk to you guys again real soon.